I'm going to try to hop on their Wi-Fi. All right. I got it all set up. I need to set this up. There we go. Lord have mercy. I'm so busy. Where is... It's hot in here. You know what I think it is? I think that it's because directly in the sunlight, because everywhere else it's not this cold. Hey girl, hey. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Virgo. Shane. About to have a sip of coffee. Oh, Lord. It's so bad. You know when you're like dragging. I just walked in McDonald's to use the bathroom. I haven't even had a chance to use the bathroom since I left for school. It's been intense. But everything's good. On the right track. I got some juicy stuff today. Juicy. These are all going to be convicted killers. And some of them have pending cases. We're waiting to see what happens. But these people have been convicted and they were law enforcement. They were cops. Most of y'all know of the Drew Peterson story. If you don't, let me refresh your memory. I want to start with the pictures first. So first of all, this was Drew's first wife. His name is Drew Peterson. And this was his first wife, Lord fighting with the sun. This was his first wife, Kathleen. This was his second wife. Hold on, take a good gander at that. That was his second wife, Stacy. So we all know the story about Stacy Peterson, but a lot of people don't know Stacy Peterson because they were actually, in fact, married. Let's start with Drew. Drew actually grew up in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and he actually went into the Army. He got out of the Army. He became a police officer, and he married a woman. His first wife, he would go on to have 5 wives. First of all, let me just say that that's a red flag. Not judging, just saying red flag. His first wife, Carol Brown, was with him when he joined the military. After 2 years of service, he joined the police department. He actually worked and patrolled in the Bolingbrook area, and he was promoted to the drug unit where he worked as an undercover officer. Now, when he started working as a undercover officer, the way Drew likes to tell it, Drew Peterson, the way he likes to tell it is that, I forgot I had that there, is that he had friendly with people in the community because he was an undercover officer and he needed them to trust him. So that was his excuse for cheating on his first wife, Carol, which is hilarious. So he was undercover. He's smashing everybody else in town, and he starts having an affair with a woman, and his wife finds out. He actually would marry another woman, his second wife, Victoria Connolly, in 1982. And this woman, Victoria, would go on to later discuss with friends and family how Drew Peterson treated her, how was controlling, he was demanding, and he was abusive towards her when they were married. At some point, he gets married to his third wife. He began to have another affair. He began to have another affair with his third wife, Kathleen Savio. Listen, Savio. While he was still married to Victoria. Drew Peterson and Kathleen married 2 months after Peterson and Connolly's divorce, that's Victoria, was finalized in 92. Their relationship turned rocky, however, in 2002. Savano got an order of protection Peterson due to DV in the home, and she claimed that he was controlling and abusive. Kathleen actually, when she got with him, everything seemed fine, and then towards her death, things got really bad, and there was actually over 18 calls to the Peterson home, before she died. She also became withdrawn from friends and family and would not tell them what was going on in the home with her and Drew Peterson. It's almost like she just kind of accepted that she was stuck in this marriage and was abusive. It says that she was completely stifled by Peter's control. So then, I guess Drew's bored with his, what wife are we on? Is this third or fourth? His future fourth wife. So he was married 4 times, I do believe. So he's on his third wife. They're fighting. Now he's, at this point, he's a police sergeant. He up there. He was working in the police department. The cops, his buddies, are having to ride over to the house every other week because him and his wife are fighting. And Drew decided a wonderful time to go meet his 4th wife, despite the fact that he is still married to the wife. So he starts having yet again another affair with his 4th wife, Stacy, during the marriage to Kathleen. Now, these 2 women are imperative to this story. Stacy is still missing to this day, and Kathleen was found dead in her and Drew's home before he would go on to marry Stacy. So, this man, yes. So, Kathleen was actually found weeks after she was found dead in a waterless bathtub. It was bone dry, y'all. There had not been any water in that bathtub recently, okay, because it was bone dry. She had a massive gash to the head. There was blood, and she was just found in the tub. It appeared to all of Drew's buddies at the sheriff's department that she slipped and fell in the shower and died. So they initially ruled it an accidental death, okay? It's crazy. Immediately after Kathleen's death, it wasn't even a few weeks later, he marries Stacy. So, kind of a weird timeline, okay? So it looks like the couple's divorce. And also, before Kathleen's death, she got an order of protection against Peterson due to domestic abuse. So it looks like she was trying to cut her losses and get out of there. And he wasn't going to let that happen. Drew Peterson is the type of person that he is such a narcissistic, egotistical control freak that a relationship is only allowed to end if he ends it. His significant is not allowed to leave him or go elsewhere. So they discover her in the bathroom, and not long later, he marries Stacy. At this point, Drew Peterson is still working in the police department, but he has had violations at work. He has had problems at work. They have looked into him. He was under investigation for failing to report bribes and misconduct while undercover, for which he was temporarily fired and then demoted. Okay, but he was fired and then demoted, but he got his job back. So when Kathleen was found dead, who do you think showed up? It was his own brothers in blue that showed up to control the scene and figure out what happened to Kathleen. And they automatically just ruled it an accidental. I think it was that they thought she hit her, but it could have been ruled an accidental drowning because she did have water in her lungs. Years later, they would go back and deem that this accidental drowning was in fact a murder. They would exhume Kathleen's body, and they would discover that the first initial autopsy was not revealing. It covered up a lot of stuff. The second autopsy after Kathleen's body was exhumed showed that she had abrasions on her neck, on her back. She had bruising on her neck and back, and there appeared from her body that there had been a struggle and that she had been drowned. So Drew Peterson absolutely killed his wife. And we know that she came out a restraining order. She was planning to leave him. She was trying to get out of this abusive situation, and he never allowed that to happen. And it wasn't weeks later he marries Stacy. And let's not forget, Stacy is about to go missing. So crazy. And he was a cop. A cop. I have no doubt that that helped him. You know, I have no doubt that that helped him. Because there was over 18 domestic disturbance reports filed at the Peterson home. Several for abuse, Brennerin on the part of Peterson, and notations for returning the pair's children from visitation. So they were fighting, they were arguing over kids. She had done left him, filed a restraining order, and then she ends up dead. Oh, and this is what happened. So he apparently went to go pick the kids up from a weekend to be with him for the weekend. Over the weekend, nobody hears from Kathleen. The kids are with Drew Peterson. He goes to a neighbor's house and asks some neighbors of Kathleen's to walk with him over to Kathleen's house to make sure that she's okay, because he hasn't been able to get in touch with her over the weekend when he had the kids. He literally planned things. He went over there, picked up those kids, murdered her, and then took off with the kids, and the kids were like his alibi. Like, he had been home with the kids all weekend at his house. And this dude is so conniving. And she was dead, you know, in the bathtub. And they ruled it, I do believe, a drowning because she had water. And they think that he drowned her. So the last weekend in February of 2004, and let me just make sure I got this right. The last weekend in February of 2004 was one of the weekends Peterson had his children from Kathleen. That Sunday, he went to his ex-wife's house to return the children, but no one answered the door or telephone. By Monday, March the 1st, there had still been no sign of Kathleen. Drew asked some neighbors to go into the house with him, where they discovered Kathleen in the bathtub. While her hair was damp, the tub was dry. How was her hair wet? So weird. The tub was dry. There was a gash on her head, and she was unresponsive. The original examination of the body and hearing pronounced the death as an accident, but those who knew Kathleen are placing their suspicions on Drew Peterson. And let's not forget, she was in the middle of getting a restraining order against him, and they were divorced and fighting over kids, and the cops had been out to their houses over 18 times. So his alibi for Kathleen's death was actually his fourth wife, Stacy. So I guess divorced, and y'all, this is a very complex case. He was married almost 5 times, for God's sakes. So it looks like he might have already been married to Stacy. And I do remember reading that he had coached Stacy on how to interview if the came to interview. He had set Stacy. I thought that was when they were just banging and they hadn't got married yet. But Stacy's sister, after Stacy went missing, Stacy's sister confirmed that Stacy had told her that when Kathleen died, that Drew Peterson had pulled Stacy aside and gave her a pep talk on how to handle an interview if the cops showed up asking questions about Kathleen's death. Okay. Sorry, that's a lot. So Stacy was 30 years younger than Drew Peterson. She was actually only a teenager when Drew Peterson started going to her restaurant job and grooming her. She was 15 or 16 when she was working at this little restaurant. And he would go in there and sweet her up, and he did this with several of his wives. He met them in public settings, and he would go by their job and see them and I don't know, bamboozle them. So a lot of these girls that he were dating were very much younger than him, and he had one friend that testified to the fact that every time Drew Peterson would get a new girlfriend, she would be 10 years younger than the last girlfriend. So, Yeah, and we all know that there's a large age gap, and you know, anything over 10 years, there's going to be an imbalance of power. So you know, the rule of thumb when it comes to dating is 10 years. I don't really stick to that, but you know, I'm not dating 10 years younger. I'm sorry. It's just impossible. I can't do it. So anyways, he was dating these young girls. He would completely control every aspect of their lives, and he was completely incapable of being without a spouse. That's another thing that a psychologist noted, is that he always had to have a girlfriend, and it's not exactly healthy. So anyways, in October of 2007, so this would have been just a few 2-3 years after Kathleen's death. Yes, because Kathleen died in 2004. She was found dead in a bathtub with her head busted open, and yeah, so 3 years later, in October, Stacy was supposed to help her sister with a painting, but she never showed up with some painting, but she never showed up. Sister filed a missing persons report on October 29th. Drew Peterson told authorities his wife had called to say she had left him for another man. Y'all, this is literally one of the most common excuses for husbands that have murdered their wives. Every time I hear some guy say this, especially when there's children involved and it was a married couple and that woman had children, every time I see a suspect say this, I know that they're guilty as hell. Because it's so improbable. So improbable. Unless you're Sherry Papini. Okay? That's how rare it is. That's how rare it is. Okay? So he says that, and he would continue to state this. He's always stated this, even till today. He did an interview 11 months ago, and he still claims that she ran off with another man. So Stacy goes missing. In my opinion, he from Kathleen's murder. A lot of these times, these perpetrators, they change the next murder. They implement some kind of change the next murder. They can see where they went wrong, and they change their style of murdering. Maybe they tweak it a little bit. For instance, he killed Kathleen and tried to make it look like an accident. Well, it absolutely worked. However, he knew he couldn't get by with that shit again. And he probably almost got caught with Kath. I have no doubt that his department probably had suspicions about him. But, you know, that's how these things go. So he learned from Kathleen's murder that he needed to get rid of the body next time. And that's absolutely what he did with Stacy, in my opinion. And we have still never found this woman. There was I don't know what to call it. There was a blue container, supposedly, that I don't know if it was Drew Peterson's brother or Drew Peterson's friend. I don't know. But this man claims that Drew called over to the house and made him help him move this blue tote container. And it is believed that Stacy's body was in that blue tote container. Now, whether or not this is true, we don't know. But given the fact that he killed Kathleen, it's more probable than not that he killed Stacy and got rid of her body. And Stacy actually had children, and her family said that she would never leave her, and no trace of her has ever been found still to this day. So suspicion naturally fell on Drew Peterson for his fourth wife's disappearance, and it got really crazy back in happened. First of all, Drew Peterson is a very egotistical person. So he did not help himself in the media, because he would do these interviews where he would be so cold and out of touch with reality, and he would call Stacy, he would talk about Stacy in the past tense, even though she was never confirmed dead. I mean, clearly he knows because he killed her. So at this point, Kathleen, her death had still been ruled an accident. But when Stacy went missing, they decided to exhume Kathleen's body. And it was re-examined by a doctor. And then her death was ruled a homicide. And like I said, she had They could tell that there had been a struggle and that she had probably been pushed underwater and drowned. There was scrapes and all kinds of bruising on her back that was not actually even reported in the initial autopsy. So, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. There's a piece of evidence that they were trying to cover this up for him, because the initial autopsy said that she just had a gash in her head and it appears that she slipped and fell and drowned in the bathtub. But there were, in fact, other injuries on her body that were not even noted in the original autopsy that was done in the county where she was found dead. Do you see what I'm saying? The second person that did the examination on the exhumed body was not familiar with Drew Peterson whatsoever. And for it to notate that, for it to say that, leads me to believe that the first examiner might have been familiar with Drew Peterson through his line of work, because all of these, the medical examiner absolutely knows the local police and sheriff and all of them, or whatever, EMS workers. A lot of nurses at the hospital know all of these first responders and stuff too. So for them to notate that makes me wonder if that first medical examiner actually knew Drew Peterson personally. So he was finally convicted of Kathleen's murder, and he was sentenced to a 38-year prison sentence. And he was also, in 2016, sentenced to an additional years after being convicted of trying to arrange a hit on the lead prosecutor of the case. You cannot make this stuff up. Yes, he did. He tried to kill a guy named James Go, and he was trying to arrange a hit on the lead prosecutor of the case. So he got an additional 40 years for taking out a hit. Oh, no, it's the county state's attorney general. It just says county attorney. Is that like the attorney general? I don't know. Listen. Anyways, he's high up there. And how stupid do you have to be? God, that's crazy. So this Drew Peterson, still to this day, I watched another interview with him, and his story still doesn't make any sense. I mean, he was a habitual cheater that was a dirty cop that clearly thrived off the power and control of these young girls, you know. And then when he was done with, when the situation would go south, you know, he had kids with Kathleen, and he was mad as hell about her getting money from their divorce and all of this. When stuff goes south, he wants to end it his way. And like I said, these women they never felt like they could just walk out of this relationship. They felt like they were trapped in this relationship. And then you get these young girls too, like Stacy, who was only 16, 15 allegedly when he started going in and trying to swoop her. Okay, they don't know any better. She was still a child when she went missing. She wasn't even 30 years old. She was still a child, met the 50-something-year-old man. This is not normal. This is not natural, and it's super unhealthy. And she was 23 when she went missing. 23. She was a baby. That is a child in a little adult's body, okay? These girls had no clue what they were getting their damn selves into. None. And you know, for some reason, I looked up Drew Peterson's net worth, and for some reason, it tells me he's worth like $15 million. How? Great question. I don't know. I don't know. Unless it's because he's sold, you know, his stories and his interviews to the media. It makes no sense how he's worth $15 million. No. My hair's dried up pretty good. I need a curling iron, but I don't put heat on it. It doesn't make sense how he has that kind of net worth, unless he's sold stuff to the media. Because that stuff, I remember back in the day, wasn't it like pictures of Britney Spears that were worth like $500,000 when she was like spiraling? So I could be wrong on that. It might have been damn, I'm thinking 500,000. It might have been 50,000 for all I know. But, you know, they've done plenty of interviews with him. And you know, I saw an interview that was done, like I said, like 11 months ago. And the public shocked that he's walking with a walker and he has all these health conditions and he looks horrible and he's aged so much in prison. He was an old damn man when they sent him to prison, bruh. He was like in his 50s, okay? That's middle age. It's not old. But you do damn 10, 20 years in prison at 50 years old. And I can promise you, you're going to be ready to die before 80. You're going to be like, Jesus, please get me the hell up out of here. Sleeping on that hard bunk, eating that crappy food, not, you know, being able to have the small luxuries in life, like insure and diapers that you need at that age. Like, you know, like you're going to, it's not going to be an easy ride if you're in prison. So that's what happens. A prison life, you probably age. You'll probably age faster, but I'm trying to think of how many years you age in there. I was going to say, like, 1 year out here is like 5 years in there. Truly. Maybe like 3. 1 year out here is like 3 to 5 years in there. And it'll age as such because of the nasty conditions, because of the exposure to nastiness and stress on a daily basis. It's a high stress environment where you get no peace, okay? And there's always some BS going on. So if you saw my short, sorry, I'm trying to figure out when this came out. So I know that he is pending trial. If you saw my short on Ryan Stark, the officer from Oklahoma, there's a picture. If y'all want to see a picture of him, y'all can go watch the short. It should be 2 or 3 down because I posted it this afternoon. He was an Oklahoma City police officer, and this is a pending case. I think he has already been charged. He's been charged with 5 charges, most of which are felonies. He was charged in, McLean County District Court with 4 felonies, including rape, kidnapping, domestic assault, and battery. And he allegedly, he held a woman hostage for 8 hours in his home after a date. So we're going to read the story, but it was 5 charges in total. He also got threatening an act of violence, which is a misdemeanor. I'm glad that they took this woman's account seriously and they went and arrested him. Because we're going to another story in a minute, if I'm not mistaken, where a woman was assaulted by a police officer. And then when she called 911, guess who showed up for the call? You can't make this stuff up. And if I don't have that one today, I'll have that one tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure it's in here somewhere. It's just crazy. So this guy, Stark is his name. He was charged with 5 charges. And pretty much they went on a date on Thursday evening. The woman whom Stark had picked up at her residence, and this is another thing that was very telling to me. He picked her up in his police-issued cruiser. Do you understand how big of a no-no this is? Let me tell you something. If I was to go on a date with a cop and he was to pick me up in his police cruiser, I mean, my PTSD could never, but hypothetically, I would immediately turn that date down and walk away, and let me tell you why. Number 1, because he's immature, way too immature to even be in possession of that police cruiser, because he's breaking the law and breaking policy by behaving this way. So I don't want nothing to do with him. If he's to break policy and the law, he's willing to break my heart, honey. So no, absolutely not. You can, you know, that shows me his character. The fact that he was willing to lose his job, riding this woman around on a date in his police cruiser. And also it's so immature to try to show off, like, flashy about your job. And, like, you know, it's just, how old was this guy? Because he looks older. If y'all saw the short, he looks older. I'd say he's probably in his mid-40s. So he probably should have done matured. If he ain't done it yet, it just ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So he goes to pick her up in his police-issued cruiser. They go out for a date. Let me refresh my memory, sorry. I do remember that he got extremely intoxicated. Once again, he's driving them. You cannot make this shit up. Something I did want to tell you guys about that. I don't know if most people know, but I just want to tell you that when it comes to our service members, our first responders, police officers, military, stuff like that, typically we see, statistically speaking, when they turn to drugs and alcohol, their drugs of choice most of the time is alcohol. Number 1, the reason for that in the military is because of drug tests and stuff like that. They can't be out there chiefing it up, smoking marijuana while they're working on base and stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like drug tests, also police and, you know, first responders, the same reason. So when we do see them dabble in drugs and alcohol, alcohol is typically the drug of choice. Unfortunately, there has been a long history of police officers and military service members that drink too much, become violent, and it's almost socially acceptable in a manner. It's like, oh, he's military drinks. It's not okay, but I just want to be clear on the addiction side, what these service members and responders, what they typically like to do. And I don't think it's secret to most of y'all that, you know, a lot of cops drink and then beat their wives. I mean, it's like, there's like whole stereotypes behind it, for God's sakes, for a reason. So this Ryan Stark picks this woman up. He gets drunk. He started to get mad. He started to get amped up, she said, and he was extremely intoxicated. He then decides to tell this date that he's sleeping with other women currently. And he says, I got this one girl that I sleep with that I like to buy drugs from. Can you imagine going on a date with a cop and you think that this is like your knight in shining armor? It's so hot that he's a cop, and then he shows up. He takes you to a restaurant. He gets obliterated drunk. He starts bragging about the fact that he's currently screwing other women, and one of those women he likes to buy drugs from. Talk about a complete utter nightmare, okay? It's the complete 360 of who you think you're getting. You know, and I'm not saying all cops don't do drugs, but that's the expectation when we're talking about them being in their position. We would expect them, at the very least, to be sober, maintain a level of sobriety if they're gonna drink, and not be complete psychos that get diarrhea of the mouth when they start drinking. So he sounds like he was a violent, angry, bitter drunk. And he kept asking her to go to his home, and she kept refusing to go to his home in Blanchard. Now, I don't know how far that is from where they were, but I don't even want to ride out of the restaurant with him. What are you talking about? I'm about to call an Uber. So somehow they make their way. She decides to get in the car with him, allow him to drop her back off. It looks like, for some reason, he approached his residence and he began grabbing for her cell phone. She attempted to get out of the vehicle to run away. And when she actually went to open the door to get out, he actually accelerated the vehicle. And it looks like he slammed into a garage. He did take her phone to keep her from being able to get help. And then apparently at some point he had broken her foot and dislocated her toes as trying to get out of the car. It looks like he run over her foot, or either somehow the woman's foot was already out and it was slammed into the garage. So he slams her foot with the car into the garage, breaks her foot, dislocates her toes, and then snatches her phone. So she can't even, at this point, she done turned into a pirate without a damn wooden leg. She can't walk on that foot if it's broken. I mean, I guess if your life depends on it, you might damn get the strength to do it. So it looks like Ryan, the officer, then pushes her onto her broken foot while she was begging for him to get her medical attention. And let's not forget, at this point, he's 15 sheets of wind drunk, over here fantasizing about other women he likes to screw. It's so crazy. It's like at this point, this is when he kidnaps her. This is when the assault takes place. Girl, listen, can we just do a little safety tip? If you're ever in this situation, first of all, if you ever go on a date and listen, first of all, we don't allow men to pick us up for first dates. Do you understand me? We drive ourselves there and we drive ourselves home. That's a rule of thumb when it comes to dating as a female. You don't get no man you've never met before, especially off the internet, to pick you up from your home. You go and you meet him in a busy damn place. And you let people know you're going to meet him before you go and meet him, so people know where you are in case something happens to you. But also, if you're ever in a situation where he did drive you to the restaurant and he does get drunk, and I don't care if he's been your boyfriend for forever or if it's a first date, you do not leave that restaurant with a drunk person in a vehicle. You call a friend, a family member, you Uber, you figure something out. You try to talk him into letting you drive his vehicle, something. But also, if you're ever in a situation where you've been on a date, or essentially you notice that this man was supposed to be driving you home, but now you notice you're pulling up in his driveway. He's driving you somewhere else. You need to immediately send some kind of message to 911 and your friends and family and say, listen, this dude has got me kidnapped, and drop a location. You can drop a pin to the sheriff's office. You can text 911 and be like, you absolutely can. So she noticed that he was not driving her home. Should have been making a plan. And I'm not saying that this is her fault. It's not. There's a good chance that she might have been drinking too. We don't know. There's a good chance that maybe she was just young and naive, didn't think he would do this because he was a cop. I don't know. But safety tips with today. We do not meet anyone. We do not allow anyone to pick us up for a first date, especially people from the internet. Meet them and we drive ourselves home. So it looks like this is when he kidnaps her. So it looks like he held her against her will. It looks like he took her in the house at some point and was refusing to let her go. He actually sat in a chair, blocking her from exiting his room at his residence. So it looks like he picked her up, put her in a bedroom, and then would not let her leave. He then began to choke her, squeeze her, spit in her face, spat gum in her hair, rubbed gum in her face. He threatened her several times. While Ryan had her on the floor, he put his gun to her head and in her mouth, telling her, I should just blow your effing head off. Wow. Let's not forget, he's a cop. And this was a date. How did we go from, I might meet the love of my life? Listen, in my opinion, this has a severe alcohol problem. Oh, and character problem, but, you know, the alcohol just amplified all the crazy. So he dragged her back in the room several times, refusing to let her leave, saying that he was going to have sex with her no matter if she wanted to or not. She was, in fact, assaulted against her will, and he held her there and assaulted several times. She was denied any kind of medical attention, even though her foot was clearly broken, badly bruised, and she was beaten from his repeated beating the whole night. So it looks like he was physically attacking her, assaulting her sexually throughout the night, and kept telling her that he was going to murder her. He was going to kill her. And she says that she was actually terrified for her life and she thought she was going to die. And I'm actually surprised that he didn't kill her. I really am, because he was a cop and he knew she was going to go tell her that there was a chance. But he'd been so drunk he didn't realize what, I mean, listen. So it looked like the victim, in her affidavit, she wrote, quote, she advised that it was like a demon that had taken over him. You know what's crazy? He's not a bad-looking guy. I mean, who decides to do stuff like this? So it looks like he only had a $200,000 bond, which is BS. I mean, he should have had no bond after all of this. But he's only 23 years old. Why does he look 3? Jesus. So Stark served as a canine officer, and he had actually made the news and received national They recognized him, honey. Y'all know what I mean. A decade ago, when he and his canine were involved in a high-speed pursuit. How is he 23 now and he's a veteran of the damn police department? Y'all, I think they fucked up. I think he's more like 33, 43 because... Yeah, I think that's a spell typing, because he had been with the department for over 10 years, if I read somewhere else, and if I read correctly. And in 2014 is when he received media attention and national attention. So that's a mistype. So anyways, it looks like he was involved, him and his canine unit was involved in this high-speed chase where the suspect fled, and they were able to get the suspect, and because of that, it reached media attention, got tons of media attention, and he got, you know, a medal, and they recognized the dog, and, you know, yeah, the suspect actually stabbed the dog. Oh, the dog died? Oh my God, y'all, the dog died. So the suspect in this high-speed chase stabbed this dog half a dozen times, and the dog died the next day. Oh, it looks like he shot the guy. Stark shot the suspect who stabbed his dog. He never faced any charges for the fatal shooting. I mean, listen, that's one of those things. I don't know what happened, but if it was my fur baby, I'd probably shoot you too. So this is a pending case. And actually, this has been really hard to find information about. I was able to find 2 or 3 articles, a few videos, and it's very, very, when I was looking to stitch this, to talk about it today, it was extremely hard to even find something to stitch because they have not been talking about this. But it looks like I'm wondering if this is an update. So that happened back in July of 24. So like 6 months ago, right? There looks like to be an update in December. I'm trying to get it to pull up, but y'all know. I had all my tabs up already. Yeah, that's a different dude. We've already read about that case. Remember, we read about the Shamar Kitchens guy. He was 23 years old, and he essayed a young girl and sewed her and everything. We read about that a couple weeks ago. There's literally one article on this officer. You Google Ryan Stark, cop R-word case. There's one article. It's unacceptable. So I'd like to say, well, I'll keep you updated. I mean, I guess I could, like, pull public files, public records from the city. But yeah, we'll definitely circle back to that. I want to see what happens to him, how much time he gets. That poor girl sounds like a nightmare date. Talk about like the worst date ever. I just don't understand why she was kind of going along with it. Like, I'm here to tell you, I don't care. I don't care if I drove 2 hours to meet somebody for dinner. If I get and they're acting weird, I got to go. I'm going to the bathroom and I'm never coming back. And matter of fact, I'm such a nice person that I'll be like, I'm going to go. This isn't really the vibe that I was going for. I really appreciate your time. Have a good night. And, you know, that might not always be safe because, well, if you're in a public setting, they're less likely to strangle you. But if you were by yourself, you know, that's probably not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is to go to the bathroom, get missing or something. If it's just you and them, like, you just got to pay attention. Like, the fact that he was drunk and berating her in the middle of this restaurant and problems, I just don't understand why she got in the car with him to go, but I'm not trying to blame her. We don't know what she was going through. So I got to kick my boots off for this because this one is crazy. We got an innocent man wrapped up in a damn murder case. Potentially innocent man. So, pictures first. This guy right here on the right was an officer. This guy, oh, this is Rodney Reed. He was fornicating with this man's girlfriend back in the day. I'm about to jump into it, but I just want to be clear. This was the officer, the white guy, and then Rodney. It's important. I'm talking about race because it's important. So, the white guy was actually dating. Hold on, let me start from the beginning. Where is CN, y'all? Is that Connecticut? What? Comes up China. I don't know where it is. Lord have mercy. So there was a police sergeant, the white guy, Jimmy Lewis Fennell. He kidnapped and R-worded a woman armed while on duty. And it looks like Georgetown ignored the overwhelming evidence of his troubling pattern of sexually deviant and violent behavior. His 20-year-old victim claims in federal court all of this, that Jimmy, and it looks like Jimmy will be sentenced on Friday for kidnapping and having sex with a person in custody. Is they not going to tell me the woman's name? So I guess because I don't know why they don't have her name. 20-year-old victim says that Jimmy R-worded her after responding to a domestic disturbance call. She says that she immediately reported it to the Georgetown 911 that she had just been R-worded by a Georgetown police officer named Fennell, and the city sent Fennell with other officers to respond to her. This is the one. This is it. Think about for a minute that you were just assaulted by a police officer, somebody that is supposed to protect and serve, somebody who it's one of the few people you would fear. I mean, unless you have CPTSD like me. But you see what I'm saying. Fear that would do something like this while they're in uniform. And then you call the police to report this crime, and they send the asshole back to your house that did it. So what I do remember is that when the cops got there, they started gaslighting this young girl and telling her that what happened wasn't what she believed that happened. Like, they were trying to tell her that she had her facts mixed up, that she was confused, honey. And when they were looking out for their brother in blue. And so it looks like Jimmy and the other officers attempted to coerce and intimidate the plaintiff into recanting. They refused to let her get a rape kit done, and they immediately booked her for intoxication into the county jail. You call the cops because you were just sexually assaulted, and they refuse you prove your story, and then they book you for intoxication. This poor girl, she was 20, a baby, somebody's daughter. Jimmy eventually pled guilty to the state's charges of kidnapping and sexual conduct with a person in custody. He is to be sentenced September 26th. Now this was, I guess September 20th, yeah. So it looks like, in addition to the complaints, it states that before the city of Georgetown hired Jimmy as a patrol officer in November of 1998, it certainly knew that he was the prime suspect in the 1996 brutal strangulation, sexual assault, and murder of his own fiancée, Stacy Stites. A simple Google search shows that the contemporaneous listen, that's a word. With the city of Georgetown's decision to hire Jimmy as a patrol officer, there were countless media articles, including television and print, detailing Jimmy's involvement in the murder of this girl, also describing Jimmy's deception to enforcement. So what this is saying is that the states, there's complaints that have proven that the city of Georgetown knew prior to hiring Jimmy as a patrol officer that his fiance was found strangled to death in a ditch on the side of a highway. We're going to get in this. This is why the black guy's about to come into play. Rodney Reed is his name, and he's in prison for the murder of Stacy Stites. It's a little crazy. It's a lot for me to conceptualize. So the city ignored other clear evidence of Jimmy's sexual deviancy and brutality. And it looks like this girl is also suing the city over this. So 20-year-old girl was assaulted, calls the police for help. They're her concerns. They lock her up. At some point, it is proved that her accounts are correct, and he is arrested. And then all of stuff comes to light that the police department in Georgetown knew that his prior fiance had been murdered and left in a ditch. Now, there was no proof at the time that he had done this, but let's talk about this, because there was a man that was arrested for Stacy's murder, and his name was Rodney Reed. Now, when was this? In October of 2019, Archive released an article stating that Rodney Reed was slated to die next month. All experts said that the theory of him murdering Stacy Lee Stites was impossible. 18 days before Stacy Lee was supposed to be married to a rookie police officer, the other guy, her body was found in April of 96 by a passerby in the brush on the side of a road in a rural county not far from Austin. She was 19 years old, and an autopsy determined that she had been strangled with a belt that she wore and that fresh sperm was in her underwear and on her body. Stites and her fiance, the police officer, lived in an apartment above her mother's place in Texas. Jimmy Lewis Fennell, 30, who was 23 at the time, told investigators that he and Stites had showered together on the evening that she died, but they had not had sex because she was on birth control, although there was an elevated risk at the time of pregnancy at the point of her prescription cycle. Stacy, who was supposed to arrive at work at a grocery store at 3:30 a.m., had gone to bed. Fennell stayed up, Jimmy, the cop. The next morning, he was awakened by Stacy's mother, who said that she had not shown up for work. Jimmy's truck, which Jimmy said that Stacy had driven to work that morning, was found in a high school parking lot by a passing sheriff's officer. That's interesting to me. Her body was found shortly before 3 p.m. by a passerby. That's interesting to me because Rodney Reed and Stacy were having an affair behind this cop's back. And it was believed that Rodney met up with her that night. They had sex, and then he murdered her. Who goes to hook up in a high school parking lot? That don't even sound possible, you know? DNA testing eliminated Jimmy as the source of the recovered sperm and of saliva on her breast, leading authorities to believe that she had been SA'd. Further testing did 27 other suspects, including co-workers, friends, and former boyfriends. So investigators focused on Rodney Reed, who had frequently been seen walking late at night near the high school in the months after the murder and who lived about half a mile away. When authorities discovered that his DNA, him among a tiny fraction of men who could have been the source of semen and saliva, investigators brought him in for questioning. Now, what we do know is that the DNA matched him. However, they were having an affair. They were hooking up. She was into him. She had told a friend or a coworker or sister that she really liked this guy and that if her boyfriend found out that he would murder her. Who's to say that they weren't hooking up at the high school? The cop rode down there, found him, ran his ass off, and then murdered her after they had already had sex that night. We don't know. But what we do know is that Jimmy was already a horrible person. And it's more plausible that Jimmy killed her, not Reed, not Rodney, okay? They were making out and having sex and hooking up that night. 29 years old, and he was charged with capital murder, which means he's eligible for the death penalty. He was. First of all, something about his defense that makes me really sad is that his defense was that he, a black man, had been having an affair with a white fiance of a white policeman. And I don't think that they should have used that defense. I think that they should have used the most plausible defense, which is that somehow this cop felt that his girlfriend Stacy was hooking up with a black man and he strangled her after Rodney and her had sex that night. That's more plausible than not, you know? So, I don't know. So, it looks like Reed testified he and Stacy had been having an affair since November of 95, and they had sex the very early morning hours before she was killed. So the night or the early morning hours before she was killed. And that was another thing. The county medical examiner messed up the time of death. It caused a lot of disinformation, misinformation in the case, because they did not clear time of when she was murdered. They said it was 3 a.m. And then they said that, you know, the sperm that was in her wouldn't have been intact because within 24 hours it wouldn't have been intact from when they did the autopsy. And it was just a mess. It was just a mess. I almost wonder if, you know, hold on one second. If Jimmy had done this, Jimmy would have ties to the medical examiner's office. He can go down, put a bird in somebody's ear and say, oh, you know, whatever. So that's unfortunately, sometimes that's how corrupt these departments can be with each other. They just jump on board. We don't know. But the jury said that the semen in her was the smoking gun in the case, that it was the equivalent to the slipper in the Cinderella story. I don't agree with that. Once again, Rodney Reed had no reason to murder her. Quite the opposite. She was getting him laid. He was hooking up with a cute little young girl. He had no reason to murder her. He knew that she was with somebody in a relationship, and he had no problem with that. He was getting what he wanted from her. He had no motive to kill her. The only person that did was Jimmy, especially if Jimmy found out that Stacy was found with a black guy. Because number one, this was the 90s, so this was unfortunately frowned upon back then. Not everybody felt that way, but I've talked about how my father was one of those people. He warned me to bring a black man home. You know, unfortunately, he was a horrible person, and a lot of people felt that way back in the early 1990s, and this was the late 1990s, and it was still going on where, you know, we weren't segregated, but there was still a lot of interracial division when it came to relationships. You did see it, but not as much as you see it now. And Jimmy would have been livid if he found that his girlfriend was sleeping with this man. And I'm sure this would have been a factor in the matter. And that was part of the court system now looking into Jimmy and looking into Rodney to get him out of prison. Case was poorly handled, just like the John Bonet case. This was just poorly handled. So it looks like in February of 2015, Rodney Reed's execution was set for 2 weeks away. He filed a petition arguing that the prosecution's theory at trial was medically and scientifically impossible, and that he was an innocent person. The petition cited 3 of the nation's leading forensic pathologists who concluded from photographs and videos of Stacy's body that she had been slain hours earlier than 3 a.m. Now, they had prosecuted him on the line theory that Stacy had been murdered at 3 a.m. So that he was prosecuted. I mean, other than her DNA, his DNA being in her body. But once again, they were having an affair. The petition also included a statement from one of her co-workers who said that she told him that she was sleeping with a black guy named Rodney, and that she didn't know what her fiance would do if he found out. Now, there's another statement from someone else. I think it says a co-worker, so maybe it was a family member that said that Stacy had made sense that if he found out she was cheating, he would kill her. So, I don't know how many people knew about this relationship, but I will say the fact that these people were coming forward saying that Stacy was open about the fact that she was sleeping with this guy named Ronnie makes me feel like even more that Jimmy found out, because she's telling the whole town that she's cheating on him. Girl, God, you're a cheater and you're being a little stupid right now. So it looks like an appellate court stayed Reed's execution in 2017, and they had a hearing, on the claim of innocence in 2017. Anytime that Jimmy has been asked about the death of Stacy, or if he had anything to do with it, he says that he pleads the fifth. Nevertheless, the court are refusing to overturn the conviction, and more recently, they're looking to approve extensive DNA testing. So I don't know if they're wanting to go back and test evidence from the scene or something. I have no idea. What? Hold on one second. So it looks like, as of right now, it looks like Rodney Reed's case is still being litigated in several courts currently. He's been on death row since 1998. He's maintained his innocence, and he claims that he hasn't, that implicates Jimmy Fennell. Listen, the reason I believe this guy is innocent is, number one, because we have a dirty cop. Number two, he had no reason to murder Stacy. None. No motive. It doesn't even make sense, and if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. Number three, Jimmy, who was already convicted of holding a different woman against her hostage, against her and harming her, you know, he's already in jail for that. So we know his character. We know he's not a guy. And I just feel like there's more evidence to support that Jimmy did this after he found out that this girl was sleeping around, as opposed to Rodney. Rodney really had no motive. He had no motive. It looks like they're allowing, the U.S. Supreme Court has sided with Reed in another appeal, allowing his team to new DNA testing. So I don't know if they're wanting her belt tested. That's the first thing that should have been tested. That was what was used to go around her neck to strangle her. They should have tested where it's held for the suspect's DNA. But, you know, the rape kit was a smart move too. But unfortunately, when we have a victim that is sleeping with, she wasn't sleeping with half the town, Brooke. She was still cheating though, and I feel some type of way about that. So, you know, when you got a victim, and note to people, okay, girls, this is why you don't want to be out here behaving this way. Because it's a recipe for disaster. And then if something, God forbid, was to happen to you, who was stripper, the Duke University player, the Duke University woman that accused the Duke lacrosse players of rape? She had how many different suspects' DNA in her? 4. And it wasn't none of the lacrosse players. It was random dudes she'd been hooking up with at strip clubs outside of work, customers that she was screwing for money. She had 4 different suspects' DNA on her, and wasn't none of them linked back to the Duke lacrosse players. It's just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you know, if something happens to you, they ain't gonna know who did it. You got all these men's day on you. Like, girl, love yourself more than that. Love yourself more than that. Nobody should, you shouldn't want to hear sleeping with multiple people. If you gotta get love, affection from one person, and then get sex from another person, and then go get attention and money from another, girl, you're doing it wrong. That's too much. That is too, ain't nobody got time for all that. So, you know, in my opinion, Rodney Reed more likely guilty of sleeping with a about to be married woman. But I don't believe that he did this. Once again, he had no motive, you know. Stacy was hooking up with him. She probably was really, it sounded like she liked it, because she wouldn't risk, you know, messing up her relationship. And it sounds like she don't know what he would do. And then it sounds like she, you know, to somebody else, it sounded like at one point she was scared that he might harm her if he found out. It's horrible. It's horrible. Just leave. Just get out of there. Like, why stay with somebody that you're not happy with? I don't understand. I am a leaver, so I'm the first one to be like, well, this ain't working. You don't know how to talk. You cause me to have anger problems because you don't know how to talk. Like, seriously. I want the bare minimum. I just want you to talk. Tell me how you feel. You would be surprised at how many people are incapable of that. But I now recognize that that's because I grew in a home like that. So I subconsciously went for people that behave like that, because that's the toxic behavior that I was used to. You know what I mean? Sometimes the toxic BS is what feels normal to your brain, because that's what's been normal to your brain. Ugh. But once you reach the point where you can spot them red flags a mile down the road before you even jump into a relationship, that's why courting is so important, because you can, it don't take long. It don't take long. It don't. Start texting somebody instead of just like jumping into a date. Start with a conversation, okay? And it don't take long. It don't take long, honey. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You have nothing going on upstairs. Nothing. Do you have any thoughts Oh, you don't even have inner monologue. Okay, this explains it. I'm concerned. Seriously, it don't take long after you start texting somebody for the truth to come out. You know, but that's the problem with people in society. They jump into relationships without doing the hard part, which is getting to know somebody. And that's actually the fun part if you're in a, but you know, that's the difference between most people in relationships and yeah, most of them that are in relationships are still not adults. So, you know, to just jump into something is very irresponsible, especially past a certain age, in my opinion. It's one thing to fuck around in your 20s and be kind of have fun, you know, but it's a whole nother thing to be doing that during life. But as I say, relationships are not, they're not failed. They're failed. They're more like stepping stones towards the person that you're supposed to be and the person that you're supposed to be with. You're supposed, every time, you know, even when I'm like texting people, like I try to talk to two people, text them, whatever. Even when I'm texting people, I try to stay open-minded. And even after I stop talking to them, I try to take something away from experience. Like, do you get what I'm saying? I try to learn something about myself, revise myself from that experience. I'm not saying I'm changing the way I carry myself or I talk or anything, but I just try to self-growth from that experience. Specifically, text messages. That shit's crazy. You know, I'm just not in a place where, hey, what's up does it for me anymore. And I don't think I've ever been in a place where, hey, what's up did it for me. Now, in my early 20s, I accepted that. And this is what I mean when I say that people will treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. If you start talking to somebody and he's hitting you with the what and the sex text and asking for dirty pictures, honey, that's not what you want, then why do you allow it? Why not just walk away? There's so many other people on this earth, so many other fish in the sea, so many more opportunities out here. You don't have to deal with somebody mistreating you or talking poorly about you or to you just to have somebody. That's not a healthy relationship. You should never allow somebody to demean you or bring you down or treat you poorly just to have somebody. That's a relationship at all. And it's quite I don't have the energy or the patience. And I also ain't got no bond money. You know what I mean? Like, I got to stay away from people because you get you get around some pretty evil, bad people, and when you go to leave them, when you're in with the relationship, when they show their true colors and you want to walk away, then they want to put their hands on you, or then they want to destroy your stuff, or then they want to call the cops, or then they want to be vindictive because you're leaving. Like, I've actually gotten to where I'm good at leaving. I just disappear. Just disappear. Voila, magic. I got my Harry Potter cloak. I do. And I just disappear. I'm not dealing with it. And you know, the sad thing about living out of your car is people always have this, they have this like pre-existing story in their head of why you're living in a car or something. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Nothing like that. But, you know, it puts you at the bottom of the scale because of your financiation. Does that make any sense? And you meet bad people that are in the same situation, but they're in that situation because they're doing bad shit. Drugs, alcohol, they're not trying, you know exactly what I mean. It really sucks. It's like socially, it puts you on a different social dating scale when you live out of a car. And it makes it a lot harder. It makes it a lot harder. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I'm being content being by myself. But it definitely makes it a lot harder dating when you live out of a car. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that both the people that I gave my numbers to the past year or two, I'm pretty sure both of them were in relationships. I'm pretty sure. Ain't that sad? Ain't that sad? I'm pretty sure. I have proof of it. I have no proof, but I got my suspicions, honey. You know what I mean? I got my suspicions. Definitely doesn't make me want to date now. I was thinking about that the other morning. I was like, damn, what are the chances that both of these people were probably in relationships trying to get with me? That doesn't really give me a lot of hope for dating in the future. It's like, damn, is everybody out here just horrible people? Like, it's really kind of heartbreaking. Like, is everybody? I don't think everybody's like that. I think a good portion is, but I don't think everybody's. Yeah, I see some shit that people put up with, and I'm like, I could never. When you know. Yeah, I'm sure. And that's another thing. I don't think I've ever, like, I know that, like, I fell in love when I was young, but, like, I don't think I've ever had, like, the one. You know what I mean? Like, how can I explain it? Like, there's young, dumb love when you're young. You're, like, infatuated with somebody because, like, you're young and you've never been in love before. But I'm talking about, like, adult love. like stable, healthy love. Like, I would have to say that the majority of people that I've dated in my life suffered from extreme insecurity issues. And not only were they insecure, but they were extremely defensive. And something that I've learned is that when you're an intellectual person and you're a life learner, the last person you need to be with is somebody who's incapable of communicating, being rational about problems, and who suffers from extreme low self-esteem and insecurities. It's going to be very hard because about, you know, happiness and learning and getting stuff done. And people who suffer from, like, low self-esteem, they can't do that. They can't mingle like other people. They don't want to go out. They don't want to, you know, they just don't want to. I don't know. And when y'all get in arguments, they get so defensive. And I'm like, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about so-and-so. Why are you getting defensive right now? Like, it's like you can't even talk to them because they're always in combat conversation mode. And it's like, whoa, calm down. I don't know. I can't do the non-communication thing, you know. I saw somebody, a psychologist, talking yesterday. And she was talking about there's this thing called the bit. And I don't know if I fully believe in the bit, but I understand the concept of the bit. And what it is, let's say I go on a date with a guy and we sat down to dinner and I start trying to make small talk. Like, hey, where are you from? And he's like, oh, Kingston. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm originally from North Carolina, but I live in Florida now. Like, have you ever been to Florida? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, what do you think you're going to order? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to do the lobster pasta and a glass of champagne. Do you want a glass of champagne? And he's like, no. And then I'm like, oh, have you ever had lobster? And he's like, no. Do you see how it is one-sided? I'm asking all of the questions. He's incapable. It's like I'm trying to pull fucking teeth to get him to talk about anything. Like, what interests you? No. Oh, you know, so the concept is that if the relationship will work, let's say I ask you a question. I say, we're sitting at dinner and I'm like, what interests you? Or no, that wouldn't be a good one. I would say, what interests me? I would be like, I love true crime and I love jail stories and prison stories and anything justice and law, right? And maybe I say I love justice and law, and he's like, oh, okay. He doesn't reciprocate the conversation. If he's not taking the bit, if he's not grasping on, or if she's not grasping on, you need to walk away. Number one, that's going to be a one-sided relationship. Clearly. Clearly. But also, now, is it a lack of social skills? Is it a lack of knowledge? Is it that this person's brain is so fried they don't have two brain cells to rub together? We don't know. We don't know. And I'm sure it varies from case to case. But what I'm saying is, if you're going and you're interacting with somebody who you are actively interested in being a lifetime in a marriage with, a lifetime partner, y'all need to be able to converse about things. And that's what this psychology trick, or this psychology theory, it's a theory, it talks about. Now, I don't know if I full-fledged believe in it, because it doesn't apply to relationships on a day in and day out, every single moment basis. But in the context of starting a relationship, going on a first date, it absolutely does. If you are going on a first date and they're incapable of holding a conversation about anything with you, you need to see the door. You need to see the door. In my opinion, that's probably a surface level person who's there for their own motives, that are looking for something for their own benefit. And if they can't hold a conversation, they don't need to be in a relationship, because the majority of your relationship is going to be a conversation. It sure will be. That's actually the number one thing you'll be doing in an actual healthy relationship, is conversing. Okay? Okay? I just want to be clear. That's how healthy relationships are made, through communication. Clear line. Loyalty, honesty, communication. That's all you need. Pretty simple. You know, it's a shame that people fuck it up so much. I have to. Just not in the past 5 years. Yeah, if I'm on a date with a guy and I'm like, oh, what interests you? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to be like, oh, okay. Like, how do you not have anything that you're into? Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't. And, you know, another thing, when I ask somebody that question and they tell me they don't know, they're telling you something without telling you something. What they're telling you is they're into a lot of shit that they don't want you to know about, which is scary in itself. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you into? Why can't you tell me? Why are you being so secretive? Why are you acting dumb instead of just being honest? Because you're definitely into something. Everybody's into something. Everybody has interest. Now, whether it's just junk food and TV, or video games, or golf on Sundays, everybody's into something. Everybody has interest. Everybody has hobbies. Everybody, and like I said, even if it's just stuffing your face in front of the TV, that's a hobby, girl. That's what you like to do. You know what I mean? That's what, you know, like, everybody's into something. But when a dude tells me, oh, I don't know what I'm into, or like, oh, wow, he's into some sketchy shit that he can't even mention to me, I'm walking away. Listen, I'm almost 40 years old. I ain't got time for that bullshit. I ain't got time for the evasiveness at all. If you can't answer a question, it's crazy how people, you know what, that nowadays, they don't know how to converse. Like that one guy that asked for my number at the gym. Y'all remember that? God, how old was he? He's like 25 or something, 24. And I was already sketched out about it to start with. I was like, I don't know about this. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be damn going to jail because he asked for my number and I gave him my number. And then I found out that he was super young. He was incredibly immature. He didn't know how to have a conversation. And I'm pretty sure that he dabbled in drug use along with his coworkers at Planet Fitness, because when I confronted him about the fact that his coworker was high, he denied it, and then even took up for her. Good, how are you? See what chips they got. Oh, my phone always looks so dirty. Then why do you come? Oh, I know. I'm an expert. Lainey, I know you don't know, but I worked exclusively with the male population for 20 years. So I'm well aware. More than people could ever realize. I talk about these things because they're fact, not because they're a theory. And, you know, psychologists do this as well. Jordan Peterson, he's actually on the forefront of talking about these social issues that we have on the home front. And he says the same things I do. Same things. I think that a lot of people take offense to it because they're in active relationships that are unhealthy, and so they're not capable of actually thinking about it from a a logical perspective because they're actively living in toxicity, you know? Like, I'm waiting on this guy. I want to smoke. They're living in toxic damn relationships thinking that it's normal. That music was not on. Remember when we walked up? That music was not on, and then all of a sudden that music's on. Is that not weird? Which people, Kat? The cops or the guys yesterday? The cops I was just talking about? I wonder if they got... No, you're fine. I was seeing if they had banana peppers back. I don't think so. Yeah, I know. You know, I wonder how much the police department covered up that one officer's crimes. How they worked with him.
This one was supposed to have 3 bags of chips, so okay if I just grab my other bag? There's only 2 in there. Okay.
I'm going to do a 6-inch. The Italian herbs and cheese is fine. And I'm just going to do a veggie. No cheese or anything. No problem. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought you were waiting on me because I was on the phone. Lots of spinach, please. Lots of onion. Perfect. Lots of black olives. Cucumber. And I'm just going to do oil and vinegar and mayonnaise. Thank you. You know, the only way they'll be able to get that guy freed is if they test the belt that was used in the crime. If they can prove that that is Jimmy's DNA, the cop's DNA on the belt, then they can get that other guy freed. That's why they're pushing to get that DNA testing done. How are you? Good. No, I just got that little veggie sub. They fit here. They don't fit there. They never have. Thank you.
like your receipt?
Yeah, thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. You too. Oh, that was nice. First of all, how the fuck? Y'all, didn't we get a damn... Y'all, this sub was $8.16 for a half of a 6-inch. Y'all, I gotta read this. I gotta look at this. I'm not the damn... I mean, hell, what am I gonna do about it now? I ain't going fucking back in there. They busy as hell. They just had 6 people walk in. Shit. I'm sick of getting scammed. This damn sub should have been like $3.50. She rang me up for a freaking 12-inch. That's why. My dumbass tipped him $1. Because I'm a damn idiot. Jesus fucking Christ. There's so many people in there right now and the manager's not even there. I can't change nothing. I can't change nothing. I can't change nothing. I'm not even joking. There was like a family of 4 that walked in, and then another family of 2, and then there's another couple right here about to walk in there. I ain't damn dealing with it. Listen, I'll take my damn receipt. I will. I'll take my receipt back the next time I get a sub, and I'll be like, hey, or actually, fuck my life, man. These people cause problems. I ain't got time for this shit. I'm trying to go to bed. Causing me damn problems because they don't know how to do their damn job. Upcharging me when I'm already fucking poor and stressed. I can't see shit. I have not been able to find my glasses all day. I ain't been able to see all day. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Yeah, going back to the Rodney Reed thing, I think that the only way they'll be able to get him freed is if they test the belt that Stacy was strangled with and they determine that the DNA is actually Jimmy's DNA. And clearly, we already know he was a sexual predator. Regardless, I don't think he murdered her with the intention of raping her. I think he murdered her because he found out she was fucking Rodney. Sorry to be so vulgar, but that's just my opinion. But we'll see what happens. We'll stay tuned to that. I've been looking at the Boulder PD's website, looking to see if they had anything on there about meeting with John Ramsey. Nothing. And then I also have been checking the website to see if Ramsey has anything going on. Nothing. I know that he went to go meet with the Boulder Police Department to ask for DNA to be released, but we don't know if that's going to happen. I'm so glad that I'm done for today. It's been one of the longest days. Like, seriously. So long. I was on the phone for over an hour about my insurance. Tomorrow I need to sit down and look at all the classes. I also need to call the school. I have a lot to do for school tomorrow. I got everything I needed to do today done. But God, I needed to do more. I needed to clean out the car. I guess I might wait till Sunday to see if it snows. I can still clean the inside out. It looks like a damn pigsty in here. It looks like my old bedroom closet threw up in here. My whole house, my whole old house threw up in here. Yeah, Drew Peterson, by all accounts, was a chauvinistic asshole. Even some... I might be wrong. A lot of killers get married in prison. Tina's brothers got married in prison. They both got married to highly successful women. A lot of them killers get married to random civilians after they go to prison. So weird to me. I have zero interest in being with an inmate. I used to be an inmate. I don't need to know what being with an inmate is like. You know? Like, I already know everything, like, when it comes to being with an inmate. Because I was one. So, I'm good. I know what comes on that side of the fence. And I don't want to deal with that. Now, let's say I dated somebody and they ain't never been in trouble before, and then something happens and they go to jail for something. Depending on what it is, I might stay by your side. If it's a stupid DWI, something stupid, I mean, that's not exactly stupid, that's wrong. But, I mean, it is stupid to drink and drive. But, you get what I'm saying. If it's something like you punched your coworker in the face because he was bullying you, honey, I'm going to come bond you out and give you a hug and bring you a little trophy. I'm going to be like, look at you, badass. I don't know what we're going to do about hiring you an attorney, but we'll find somebody, honey. Don't worry. Look at you, little badass. Like, you know, and hypothetical, I'm not condoning this. But I'm saying if I was in a relationship with somebody and something happened, I would hold them down. Absolutely. And it depends on the circumstances. If you've been messing with children, oh no, I'm telling it all. I'm going to be the first one in the interrogation room. First one. I'm telling everything. I don't know what, but something. Oh, God. But whoever I marry will never go to jail. So, that's a fact. That's a fact. Oh, God. The person I'm going to marry, the mere mention of the cops is enough to make them shudder because they've never been to jail, so they don't want to experience it. You know what I mean? They heard the stories and they believed them, and they didn't need to see for themselves like I did. Oh, dog, God, didn't you come out here? Oh, my God. Damn Spectrum light just hit me. Right-hand turn. Was going to turn right into me. Damn Spectrum vans. Out here trying to kill us. Yeah, I'd hold him down if he damn... I mean, it really depends. Because if it was like you done frauded your job, you went to work and you was scamming money out your company, oh no, I'm filing for divorce. How dare you? You done embarrassed the whole damn family because you a thief. Absolutely not. It depends on the circumstances. And it's not that I would be embarrassed, it's about the principle. I didn't know I married a thief. You know what I mean? The fact that I know you a thief now, I don't want to be with you. Plain and simple. Your character ain't good. Plain and simple. It depends on what it was. If it, like I said, I think, you know, Walmart gets crazy. I posted some insane clips today. Please go take a look at my shorts. It's the last short I posted, a little dose of insanity for you guys. That happened in a Walmart or a Target. I'm not sure. It's giving Walmart vibes. It's giving Walmart vibes. This lady is cussing this guy out at the register. Oh my God, it's wild, y'all. She had to have been on drugs. If y'all saw it, she had to have been on drugs. She was on something because she was crazy. That's not trauma, honey. That's drug use. See, that's the difference. That's a huge difference. My lips are super chapped. This weather. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like if my husband went to Walmart and somebody hit him with a buggy like that guy got. Remember the guy that got hit with a buggy in Walmart? The two ladies were bullying him and running over his feet with the cart. I posted it like last year. It's crazy short. If my husband went to Walmart and some man was doing that to him, and then he turned around and pushed that man on the ground and then went to jail for simple assault, I'm coming to get his ass out of jail. 100%, I'm going to get him out of jail. Because that ain't even his fault. Some old man was running over his feet with a buggy, and he turns around and defends himself, and he goes to jail. That's absolutely the world that we live in. That's why I'm talking about this. That's absolutely the world that we live in. So these things happen. If you don't know anybody that's ever been to jail, You might be from a really, really good, well-behaved, stable family. Good for you. Oh, good for you. Hey, at least I know what I would and would not get somebody out of jail for. And my husband is the only person that I would ever bond out of jail. I ain't bonding my brothers out. I ain't bonding nobody. The only person I would ever bond out of jail would be my husband. And it would have to be some mitigating circumstances to why he even went to jail. Because I ain't dealing with that shit. If I'm not willing to behave like that to put him through that, I sure as hell I ain't allowing him to do the same shit to me that I ain't doing to him. You know what I mean? God, the sun today. What is going on? And are we not used to seeing it or something? And who am I kidding? If I get married to somebody, I have a more likely chance to go into jail than he does. With this mouth and this backbone, oh, honey. It was me. It was me. We got a call. Some man said he was punched in the face by a man. No, he wasn't. That was me. Yes, he was punched, but it wasn't by a man. Oh, it might have felt like a man did it, but it wasn't a man. There's a more likely chance of me going to jail than my spouse. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. Definitely hypothetical. Y'all know who I was listening to last night? I don't know her full name, but she's a stand-up comedian. Her name's Leanne, and she's from the South somewhere. And she's kind of older. She's well, she's not like old, but I'd say she's probably about my mom's age, you know, and well, what would be my mom's age. And she does stand-up comedy. She's hilarious. So hilarious. She says that God makes teenage daughters mean and kids mean when they're teenagers, so that after they graduate high school and they fly the nest, the parents don't hurt so bad. I found that comical. I was like, hey, that kind of makes sense. Oh, God. Throwing shit around. I want to go eat my sub. Yeah. Is it Womack? No. She's so funny. She's got a little southern accent. She talks about her husband, Chuck, and her 2 or 3 daughters. Oh, she said with my first 2 daughters, she was so overprotective, and she was a helicopter mom, and she, like, you know, was so strict on them. But then when she had her 3rd child, she just let that 3rd child do whatever she wanted to do. She said that somebody told her, oh, wait till you have your 4th and 5th and 6th. They just have themselves. And she's like, I bet they do. By my 3rd, I didn't give a fuck what my kid was doing. Oh, that's so funny. That's funny. You know, and my parents didn't ever have to go through no shit like that. Like, all of us was pretty much the same age because all of us was from different families. You know, my mom had 3 kids. And then my stepdad had 2 kids. And then my bio dad had 3 or 5 kids. I don't know. Anywhere between 2 and 5. Somewhere in there. So, I got siblings that I've never met and stuff. So, anyways, we were all similar in age except for on my bio dad's side. They were younger than me and my other siblings. We were all approximately a year to 2, 3 years apart, you know? So, because we were from different families. So I didn't never experience that thing where I had like an older sibling. I had an older brother, but we didn't grow up in the same house. So it was a different dynamic than a regular household. Damn. Oh, they're already closed. Come on, dude. We got the way. Oh, it's muddy. Shit. Oh, damn. I might need to kick it in the 4-wheel drive. Damn, that sun's gonna be right in my face. Y'all see where it is? Right here. Can't do nothing about it. I'm about to starve. Coming the truck off to save gas. Where's my sandwich? Oh, the truck is a mess. I did my hair, but it's still not coming out right. It'll look better tomorrow. It always looks better the last day. Leanne Morgan, oh my God, is she not funny? She is hilarious. I love that she embraces her age. You know, she makes a lot of jokes about her arthritis and her hips going bad and being menopausal. And, you know, she just makes all these crazy jokes. And it's really important that we embrace our differences and our different cultures, and we can laugh about it and, you know, see the good side to our differences. It's so important. And Leanne, in her work, in my opinion, she brings a little spotlight into the South, you know, like the way that she describes being from the South and the way that we do things. She's just like, you know how we have Fluffy, and then we have like Jeff Dunham, and we had like Kat and Dave Chappelle, and, you know, we got people like Shane Gillis. They all have their like style of comedy. And the thing that I like about Leanne is she is simply Southern mama. Okay, that's our Southern mama comedian. So we're gonna try this. It's got tons of spinach. I'm probably gonna have to put some sauce because they don't ever put enough damn sauce. The bread is so good. I need a napkin. That's why when I found that one guy that served the chicken and watermelon to kids at school the first day of Black History Month. Y'all, his channel is so funny. The whole channel is satire. It's fake news reports. It's so funny. I showed it yesterday. I can't remember his name, but I've been watching more of his content, and it is hilarious. It's so funny. Oh, God. So there's a TV anchor, and she's like, breaking news. The parents at Culliver Elementary School are outraged that their children were fed fried chicken and watermelon on the first day of Black History Month. The kitchen's superintendent is here to discuss why these decisions were made. The camera pans to a black man. And he says, I don't know why parents are so outraged. She's like, I made a decision. I made that decision. He's like, I like chicken and watermelon. He's like, we need to embrace our differences and appreciate them. And then he says, do you think little Mexican kids go running home talking to their parents saying that they got bullied because their papas build houses at a fast rate? No, those kids are proud of their papas. Those kids know that their fathers can build 4 or 5 houses in a day. He's talking about Hispanic men. Then he says, do you think little white children go running home crying that their chicken was unseasoned to their white families? Because you know they don't. Everybody loves some seasoning. Oh, God. Oh, God. That's so funny. Y'all, I was going to stitch it, but, like, I probably should because it's that great. It's that great. Oh, and it's all fake. It's all fake. It never happened. There were no parents mad. There was no watermelon and fried chicken served. It was all satire. But, God, did it have me. As soon as I saw that, I hit record. And it was only when I stitched it that I was like, this seems a little off. He seemed a little off, like he was acting almost. And I had to watch it 10 times because I was literally crying so hard. And then I'm like, let me go look into this. So I click and I look, and sure enough, it goes back to his page on YouTube. So that's how I found out that it was a fake news article. I'm thinking it's real. Oh, God, I'm so dumb sometimes. I really did. I thought parents were outraged that these children had been fed chicken and watermelon, because you know that they would be if they were. Especially on the first day of Black History Month. How fucked up, you know? But listen, I don't see nothing wrong with fried chicken and watermelon. I love both. I love both. And if they want to serve it at school, by all means. But that satire video, Lord, that guy is funny. He's like, ain't everything got to be about race? That was the first thing he said. Oh, God. And the camera pans over to him, and we realize that he's black. And he says, first of all, I made that decision. He's like, and second of all, ain't everything got to be about race? That's why I was like, yeah, I agree with him. Absolutely. Hell yeah. And then I'm like, record. And then I watched it 5 or 6 times, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think this is real. What gave it away, Brooke? What gave it away, Brooke? Listen, if you ever want to kill me, just put a scratch and sniff at the bottom of a swimming pool. Sometimes I'm so blind. Oh, God. For real. Parents would have been outraged. I don't want any more of that. I want water. Y'all, that lady that was damn the insane TikTok that I posted earlier, when I tell y'all I cried so hard, it took me like 30 times trying to film that, because every time I would start crying so hysterically hard that I had tears just falling down my face. This woman is in like Walmart or Target, and she is losing her mind, losing it. And, you know, in my opinion, it was drugs. It's all right. I wish there was banana peppers on it. But for some reason, she's got beef with some guy, and she's all up in his face, cussing at him, telling him he needs to repent and give his life to the Lord. She's like, I'm trying to help you. He's like, I don't want your help. Oh, God, y'all gotta go see it. Oh, God. It's literally, look, I'm literally crying right now because it's that insane. It's that insane. It's so insane. I ain't even got to watch it. I can just think about it. It's so crazy. God, I don't know why that shit cracks me up. She is losing it. Oh, my God. And then the voice switch. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So this woman is in the middle of a Walmart. It appears to be a Walmart or a Target. She's screaming at him. She's telling him he needs to give his life to the Lord. She's telling him he needs to repent. And then she's like, I can help you. I'm trying to help you. He's like, listen, lady, I don't want your help. He's like, and right now, she said, you're a sinner. You need to repent or something. And he's like, well, right now you're sinning, because she done dropped the MF-er about 4 times. She done dropped the MF bomb, right? And he's like, well, right now you're sinning, lady. And the lady, that pushed her over the edge. That pushed her over the edge. She starts screaming at him. She's like, you're an accuser. You're an accuser. And she's all up in his face, and she steps closer to him. At which time a manager comes over, and the manager is trying to get this crazy lady's attention. And the crazy lady lets out this horrible, like, demon howl at this man. And then she turns around to the manager and she goes, hi, yes. Whole voice change, whole personality change. That I'm pretty sure we were dealing with two whole separate individuals in that one woman in that 30-second clip. I mean, it's crazy. It's posted on my shorts. It was the last video I posted. When people call me crazy and then I see people like that, I'm like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Lord have mercy. I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels to this shit. Most definitely. Most definitely. This sandwich is a little dry, but it's okay. I don't know. What did she say at the end of the video? I don't remember. It just shuts off. She doesn't say anything that I can remember. She says that as she's talking to the manager, the video goes to cut off. But I will say, right before it cuts off, he goes to say, I was just trying to ring up my groceries. The guy that was getting screamed at, he says, I was just trying to ring up my groceries. Oh, God. It's crazy. Y'all see that damn river back there? How the hell was they going to launch that canoe in that river yesterday? Riddle me that. I know she was. She was a complete psycho. If you look at her mouth, at one point it looks like her mouth is like moving back and forth, like it's contorting, like she's on drugs. But I bite my lips, so who's to say if that was from drug use or if that was just a nervous twitch, you know? Methamphetamines ain't no joke. A lot of them are out here on that shit. That's why I stay away from everybody, because I always assume everybody's on drugs until I can prove otherwise. And that's actually the best policy to have. I ain't never thought to tell y'all that before. It's best to assume that everyone is a murderer, on drugs, and or a drug dealer until you can confirm otherwise. Oh, everybody's on something. So, until you can prove that they're not on crack, just assume that they're on crack, you know? Oh my God. It's so true, though. You have to nowadays. People are crazy. Clearly. Crazy. I'm gonna find some clothes for bed. I got stuff all in my teeth too. And this sun is getting on my nerves. Other than that, I have no complaints. I just realized I said like 4 complaints. Where in the hell are my shirts? I can't never find nothing in the suitcase. I need to damn reorganize, I guess. But like, once again, the weather. First of all, I can't find any sweatpants, so I'm just gonna have to wing it and keep these thermals on. Everything must be dirty. We might have to do that tomorrow. Oh God, it's cold. I'm just gonna take my jeans off. Oh. These blue jeans are killing me after eating, and the shirt. Oh, but thank God I had thermals on. Oh God, I got a creeper going by staring. Oh, he must recognize me because he's revving his engine for me. Y'all hear that? He said, rah, 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 as soon as he went over the tracks. He like looked at me as he was crossing by me. And then he goes over the tracks and he starts revving his engine. And then he like jerked it and put it in another gear and jerked it again. Like, y'all, this is such a small town. It's like not even a few thousand people. Right at a few thousand people. Everybody knows everybody and everybody knows who I am because they just do. I don't know why. I don't know. I wish they didn't. This big mouth doesn't help. I can promise you that. Where in the hell are my toothpicks? And where's my shirt? I just had a shirt. Ugh. Well, I ain't gonna match, but it's alright. I don't care. I wonder where my gray Carhartt is that damn has long sleeves. Oh, I got this. Oh, I'm gonna put my comfortable one back on. I like this one. I don't match. I'm gonna look crazy as hell. I got my socks down. Look at my feet. I look all crazy. Y'all see my saggy thermals? I look crazy. It's gonna be cold tonight, honey, and I'll be damned if my balls are gonna be cold. I'm joking. I don't have gonads. I need to be specific because nowadays you never know. I don't have gonads. Well, I guess I'm gonna go over here to this post office and see if this package is here. What is this, like the 10th or 11th time? These damn people ain't worth a damn. Really not. I'm just gonna let my lease expire here and I'm gonna go to a different post office and get another one. Hell, I might even get it in Florida where I live. It'd probably be easier for me so I ain't gotta drive back to this mofo. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So maybe everything does happen for a reason. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Sub was good. I still got a good, like an end of it. Sometimes I can't eat it all at once. Sometimes I eat like 3/4 of it and then like the last 4 bites, it's still in the damn bag. You hear that? Y'all hear that? It's mud. Oh shit, I passed the mailbox. Motherfuck. There ain't nobody there anyway, so even if I stop, they won't be able to give me the package. Because there's nobody there. They're closed. They closed at 4:30. They're always closed. They're closed more than they're open. sing December 29th. You can sing. That's a little late. I would have loved to go to church to sing on Christmas. Well, that's New Year's technically, right? That's what I need to do. I need to go to church. I've been talking about it. I was supposed to go last Sunday, but it snowed. And it actually started snowing on Saturday. And then it started again Sunday morning. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm not driving in this mess. Didn't Scott Peterson also cheat on his wife? And what, didn't he kill her? Lacey Peterson? Scott Peterson? Wasn't that another Peterson that damn was a murderer? And not only that, come on, dude. Oh, shit. Not only that, but I remember when they were doing a vigil for Lacey Peterson, Scott Peterson was talking to his mistress on the phone at the vigil for his wife, who was believed to have been dead, or was dead. We should definitely talk about that case, because that's crazy too. Was she pregnant? I wonder if she was pregnant. I'm probably going to lose you guys heading up the mountain. If I do, we'll talk tomorrow. I don't have as much to do tomorrow as I had to do today, but still quite a bit. Mostly school stuff. Damn, my feet's cold and I'm just sitting here with the heat off. It's 45. I think it's supposed to be down to like 20 degrees tonight. Is anybody ready for summertime? Because I am already again. It was a full moon earlier in the week. It was really pretty. night before last and the night before that, it was huge. You can see it so good out here on the mountain. The stars too, they're just so huge and pretty. And something last night when I was trying to sleep was attacking my car.